Okay. All right, you guys, thank you for hopping on tonight. So I'm excited to talk about this gut health and like all there is that kind of surrounds this buzzword that you hear probably more and more. And especially if you've been going through some of the nutrition courses with me, or we've been talking one-on-one, we've been talking about gut health. Just because it's a really, really important topic. A lot of people don't realize that they have issues with their gut, aside from I want to lose some of it. But there's a lot of things that go into gut health. And so I want to kind of talk through that and break it down a little bit. A lot of you guys know who I am because we work together. But if you don't, if you're catching the recording, I'm a mom of 4. I am like wicked passionate about nutrition just because I have these little like people in my house that are always watching and wondering why I'm like the sugar Nazi and why, I eat the way I do. So I really want to give that back to people in our community. I want other moms to be empowered, honestly, to be able to make better decisions with their nutrition that is going to influence their kids, right? Because our kids really learn with us. And we have such a growing number of children in our society that are growing up with these autoimmune issues that actually can be subdued and maybe even reversed through proper diet. And we go on Google and we think we can find all the answers. And really what happens is we get kind of more overwhelmed than anything. And really what fueled this was when I started back in 2008. I started with these programs. A lot of you guys know my whole story with P90X, and I jumped in just to really go and see if this home program could really change me as a person and also my, physical being. I had 2 kids at the time, and I was 25 pounds overweight, and I just felt like gross, like I was in my, how old was I? I was 30, right? Late 20s. So I was 29 going on my 30s when I first kind of fell into this. And it really ignited this passion to want to dive more into the whole process. Like I was fascinated that the workouts weren't what was changing my physical self, right? Like the nutrition was what was shifting. And that was like eye-opening to me. And I know that sounds so silly, but it really was. It was like, oh my God, what I'm eating is truly the result of what I'm seeing in the mirror right now, good or bad, right? And at that time it was really good. And it still is, like I notice things in my body now as I've gotten through a lot of, nutrition courses and really truly understand what foods work for my body. I've started to go, oh yeah, that doesn't work for me. I get really gassy or bloated, or I feel sick to my stomach, or wow, I had really great results these last couple of days eating like that. So it's kind of cool when you think of yourself as a science experiment and go through this process. A lot of you guys know I am a results driven coach. Like I work with my clients to get them results. I don't want to teach people how to lose weight in 21 days, in 30 days, in 6 months. I want to get people results that are going to stick with them for the rest of their life. I did a post today, and I get in the industry that we work in, and being around a bunch of fitness influencers and having all these program launches, it's a double-edged sword because we know what to do, but it's always easy to go back into bad habits. And so even as coaches, you find people that start programs and finish them with incredible results. And then what happens is that they tend to creep back to their before picture. And that drives me nuts. Like my whole mission is I want my clients to have their after picture to be their new before picture and never go back to the very beginning of the before picture. So that's me in the center, obviously. And that was just a 3-day like plant-based elimination like diet. So those of you guys have done the 3-day refresh, that's what happened in 3 days. It was pretty fascinating. Sarah these are both Sarahs actually that bookmarked my picture. You guys know Sarah McKinney. She's lost almost 60 pounds. Both Sarahs actually have. And you could just see a difference in the way they look. And that is really like compelling to me, which not necessarily has anything to do with gut health, but everybody's health is improved when you choose and consume foods that are going to be better and well adjusted on your gut, right? So I want to talk about how you can heal your gut with food. And when I say gut, I'm not talking about like your stomach and the flab on your stomach. I'm talking about internally. You know, when we have inflammation in our body, you tend to notice it in your joints, in your skin. Maybe there's eczema, maybe in your you'll notice that with your sleep, maybe your skin, like externally, maybe your energy, maybe just bloat, maybe your intestines are just like knots, maybe you get cramps, like all these things, your menstrual cycle even, you guys, like there's so many things that are rooted through our digestive system that kind of, you know, dictate how we're going to respond in the day-to-day stuff and how we respond to food. So once we start learning about how our body reacts and what we can do about it, it's really kind of cool. So these are top 10 culprits that tend to trigger a lot of autoimmune issues and gut health. So you guys maybe have heard the term leaky gut, and a lot of people think it's kind of this like kitschy terminology that doesn't really have any meaning, that it was like a trend that turned into like a diet trend, which it couldn't be far from the truth. It was actually labeled by a renowned physician in, oh gosh, I think he was, I want to say he practiced out of Harvard. Anyways, he's got like credentials out the yin yang, but he kind of coined this leaky gut because it was basically a shorter version of a very extensive scientific term that related to some of these culprits that inflamed the gut, inflamed your intestines, and thus kind of misfiring all the other things in our body. So we got gluten and grains are probably the number one culprit for a lot of people. Sugar, artificial sugars, processed meats like your deli meats, your fake meats even, you know, which is hard if you're a vegan or vegetarian. Dairy, soy can be a big one for a lot of people just because soy is so commercialized. I'm not talking about fermented soy necessarily, but like my body does not like soy. We do not get along. And I honestly think that soy is not good for the general American population just because we are not grown up around it. You know, you take the Asian population that have soybeans and tofu, and that's what they're raised on. Their body composition is and genetic makeup is far different from ours, so they can respond differently to it. And here in the States where soy is created, it's not even like real stuff anymore. It's basically manufactured fake meat, right? Eggs can be a big one. GMO foods, obviously, genetically modified foods, refined oils. Like I'm talking about your corn oils, your palm kernel oils, like your super cheap oils that you're going to find in so many foods. Like we don't think to look that, oh, that corn oil that's like 6 ingredients down could be the thing that's kind of stirring up a lot of crap in your gut. Corn obviously is a big one. A lot of people think it's a vegetable, but corn is so highly processed in our country because it's subsidized by the government. If you guys have seen What the Health or any food documentary, there's so much information about how corn is just like terrible and it's so tainted and it's fed to chickens and then hormone, you know, they give it hormones and antibiotics and like, you know, list goes on, right? And then lastly, tap water. So kind of lower on the list, drinking from the faucet anymore. You know, I'm drinking from the faucet at our house these days because our filter broke in our refrigerator. And I keep thinking about all the stuff that's probably going into my water, but I like water, I stay hydrated. So those are the top 10 things. And generally that's what I speak to with some clients that I'm going to take through an elimination diet. So I threw out this idea not to diet and not to be a weight loss thing at all, but to almost be a science experiment with your body to see, or anything on those, I'm going to go back to that slide, anything on that list of 10 that you know do not work well with your body. Is there something on there that you're like, you know what, I've never actually taken out eggs and seen if that's a reason why I get really gassy, or I've never really taken dairy out, or, you know, I don't have dairy, but I have a lot of like baked creamers, you know, like those are the things that we start to really assess. So I kind of dive into the elimination diet and how to treat your gut and health issues through proper nutrition and getting some of those culprits out. So what is an elimination diet? Basically, it's removing those 10 things out of your diet for at least 3 weeks. Okay. 3 weeks to fully get them out of your system and allow your body to get back onto eating as close to a whole food, one ingredient product as possible, and getting out those, gluten's just not even real food anymore. It's a binder. It's a compound, a protein compound that is a binding agent in our food. So it's used in breads and baked goods and pastries and, basically all the yummy floury type stuff that we love. Gluten's in it. And so that's why there's such a surge in gluten intolerance and celiac disease and so many other things that come as a result of gluten. So removing those things for like 3 weeks, and then slowly bringing one thing back at a time. That is probably the biggest thing that has to be, you guys have to be patient with. And that's why I never recommend somebody doing it by themselves. Like, you're going to get a lot of information tonight, but I hope you don't just take it and you're like, I'm going to wing it and go for it. Like, I want you to feel like you can use me and we can go through it together if you really truly feel like there is something misfiring in your gut. Okay. But you have to reintroduce one food at a time for a 4-day period, and like repeatedly introducing it, documenting how you feel, how your stomach feels, how your sleep is, how your bowels are, which, when you take something out and put something back in and you change up your routine, naturally, like your digestive system kind of freaks out a bit, and you don't always like continue on your same schedule. So that could be an adjustment period. But you might find like you have this like natural boost of energy. You might find your skin clears up. You might find you sleep better. You might find you bounce back from a workout quicker, and you don't get that muscle soreness that tends to set in like 12 hours later or whatever it is. But reintroducing those foods methodically and recognizing, did it work? Did I notice something with it? And if it's okay, cool. Okay, then I seem to do okay. We'll use eggs, for instance. Some people can do really, really well on eggs. Some people can't. So you bring eggs in because you're like, I love eggs for breakfast. Okay, you're going to have eggs, on day 1, day 2, maybe you have 2 different settings or servings of eggs. Maybe you have it in the morning as a scramble. Maybe you have hard-boiled eggs on a salad later on in the day, which is a lot of eggs and can naturally produce like gas for a lot of people, like, kind of the egg parts. But, it's all of the science experiments. You just have to be willing to know that you're going to go through some funky things to kind of get to the root. So bringing back the foods that heal, I want to talk about like specific foods that are really, really vital that we should be eating anyways. And for those that I work with more, intently on a more one-on-one basis to work through some issues that you might have relationships with food. Because me, you guys, I want to work on the root cause to why you are at where you're at. I don't want to teach you again how to lose weight for 30 days and then, wave goodbye. I want you to be within this community for the rest of your life because you enjoy the community, you love the accountability, you always know that there's something that's going to work and then something's not going to work after time. Right? But these are foods that you start to learn like your body needs and we don't have in a conventional diet. So cultured foods like yogurt, full fat, plain yogurt, you guys. Greek yogurt has some really great probiotic strands in it. Kefir, you can make your own. If you guys are going to consume dairy, because some people, again, don't do well with dairy, but, culture, if you get small batch yogurt from a farmer's market or a local farm, like, you're not getting all the shit that's in some of the yogurts that you're going to get on the shelf at like say a Safeway or an Aldi's or, the big box retailers. Kefir you can make, if you're that savvy in the kitchen or you have the patience to make it. I don't, but kefir is amazing. Fermented foods. I'm obsessed with fermented foods. I love kimchi. It reeks. The whole house stinks. And everyone's like, oh my God, Mom, you had kimchi? Because it has a scent to it, but it is so amazing. I top my salads with it. I eat it straight out of the jar. It's just the fermentation process is pretty simple. And it's no wonder that it's been a part of the Asian culture for centuries because of its gut healing properties. So kimchi, sauerkraut, which you guys, my 5-year-old asks for that stringy stuff in a jug that we get at Costco. I would see sauerkraut at football or baseball stadiums that people put on hot dogs. I'm like, that is so nasty, right? I had no idea what sauerkraut was. Mind you, I wouldn't get the sauerkraut probably at baseball fields, but again, thinking small batch and, you know, even doing it yourself. You can go on Pinterest and, oh, Chevy, no, hold on. Sorry, guys. No, hold on. Hold please, hold please. Everybody left the house and the dog was gonna try and get a massive burrito. So sorry about that. Okay, prebiotic foods. Your vegetables, because they're fiber rich and we need fiber to push this food and build up through our intestines. Whole food supplements. We need supplementation, you guys. There's no kind of getting around that. And a lot of us have Shakeology in our day-to-day because of the superfood component, because of the pre and the probiotics, the phytonutrients, just, you know, the stuff that we don't get in a conventional diet. Like you can't go and prepare a salad that's going to have that density of nutrition. There's over 70 vitamins and nutrients and properties in Shakeology alone in one serving that you will never ever get, even if you ate 10 salads worth of seasonal fruits and vegetables. You just can't. I mean, it's impossible. And it's all sourced from where these nutrients actually are derived from. So they're not like manufactured in a warehouse in Utah. So finding a proper prebiotic or probiotic supplement might be necessary. And that's kind of all things that we would work on and through as you're going through kind of this elimination and re-adding foods back in. Healthy fats, obviously coconut oil, avocado, walnuts, cashews, you know, if you can sustain having nuts and those type of foods, but having healthy fats is imperative to our brain function and just our overall health. And it's really healing. Coconut oil in particular is really, really healing to the gut. So having and incorporating that back in, or just having it a part of your day-to-day. Glutamine, you're gonna get in beans, which, you know, some people tolerate beans and others don't, but there's also a really defined way to prepare beans that your body can adjust them a little bit better. Cabbage, beets, spinach, parsley, all are really, really great sources of glutamine. So having those in your diet will be a really great balance while you're going through this elimination process, or just adding them in anyways. If you know I don't really feel like I've got an issue with any, you know, gut related stuff, then great. Start adding these foods in just from a health perspective and seeing if you notice a difference. You might find like, oh my God, I cleaned myself out the next day. That's how I am when I eat beets. So I went to Whole Foods and just like got a ton of beets. But these are kind of some of the recipes that I put in, which you guys probably already saw in the 7-day healthy gut meal plan that was provided to you guys this month. That is a exclusive meal plan that I provide for all my VIP clients. So those of you that I work with on a day-to-day are in the VIP community or the tracking app, you receive this meal plan. So if you didn't get it, then let me know so I can send it to you. They're just, you know, really whole foods and seasonal foods. Every meal plan each month that you guys get are going to be specific to the season and are going to be really like easy whole food stuff. I mean, I try and cater to everybody because not everybody's going to go through an elimination, but because we're really focusing on the gut health and how to repair any kind of bloat and gas and kind of the, you know, the general triggers that people have, that's kind of where I wanted to spend our energy this month and working through those kinks, because a lot of us have been on this journey for a long time, maybe have gotten results like 20, 30, 40 pounds, but then you hit a stall and you're like, okay, what gives? Something's not feeling right. Like I just feel bloated or gassy or my stomach's in knots all the time. So wanting to give you guys ways and resources to go, oh, maybe that's a culprit right now. Maybe I can't have that feta, or maybe I need to swap out feta for goat cheese on my salads. You know, just little things that you'll start to recognize. And that's what you kind of have to start documenting. And a lot of you guys that have gone through these courses with either 2B Mindset or the Ultimate Portion Fix, you've got the log books, or you guys have my Mom Strong journal, right? You have these log books to document your food. And you really should be in tune when you eat. And when you wake up the next day, like, how do you feel? How did you sleep? Was it a weight loss day? In Alana's terms, like, did you wake up with a weight loss day? Is a weight loss a week? You know, if that's your goal, weight loss, then That's really important information, is what you're gaining from your food. That's your information, right? Like that's a tool for you to know. You're collecting information based on what you're putting into your body and how your body is enjoying it or how it's not. Okay. So that's the meal plan. This is just kind of a sample meal plan that is, again, in the 7-day healthy gut meal plan that you guys should all have. If you don't, please just send me an email or a Facebook Messenger and let me know, hey, Taryn, I never got it. It is in the VIP group, so I can tag you in it. But these are just kind of general ideas, things that you can play around with. And also, these are just like generic servings, right? So if you have a snack, half a cup of raspberries in the morning might not tide you over. Maybe you need to add a little blue container of walnuts, right? I think having in the afternoon red bell peppers and the avocado yogurt dip, like that's great. Or hummus, like my favorite. I love hummus. And I noticed the avocado spelled wrong. But just some really good, like fresh and seasonal meals that are going to be gut friendly. But you might have to just realize like, okay, I can't do edamame because the soybeans don't work for me, so you got to sub something out for it. So this is just an example, but some really great, like high protein and nutrient rich foods that are going to complement what your goals are, if it is weight loss, weight gain, or maintenance, right? Because that's kind of the general sense for most. But you guys probably all have this information, but again, you got my email. So if you need to track me down, say, hey, Taryn, I didn't get the meal plan, but I want to tell you guys, if this is something that you need to do next, do an elimination. Again, it's not a diet. I hate the term elimination diet, but it is what it is, right? Like we have to work through some of the things to recognize what changes. Like Katura has to do the FODMAP diet because things are just not working with certain vegetables that she's consuming, which sucks because vegetables are amazing, right? But some of the fiber in some of these vegetables or nightshades don't do well with certain body types. And that could be your blood type, like just could be the genetic makeup of your body. Your DNA is just like, you know what? You don't do well with onions and garlic. So sorry, and they might be your favorite. So that kind of sucks. But that might not be for the rest of your life either. It just might be you have to go through this elimination process, and then you can try and bring those foods that are your favorite back in and see how your body responds. Okay. So I didn't know if you guys had any questions, but Chaos is going to be walking through the door here in a little bit. And I didn't really want to have this elaborate call, but do you guys have any questions? Does anybody want to unmute themselves and ask a question about this or anything in particular? You should be able to unmute yourself if you want to. I'm just bringing back the top 10 culprits because I know that that's kind of like a screenshot that a lot of people want. And I'll share any of this stuff with you guys, seriously. And there it is. All right, you guys. Well, I will cut it off, but I appreciate you guys hopping on. I have it recorded, so I will be sure to send it to you guys. I will pop it into our VIP group. And if you need the information, if you need anything, please don't please don't hesitate to let me know, you guys. Sorry, it's just absolute nonsense that came in the door. Sorry, guys. All right. Well, that's my cue. It's time to cut off, but I appreciate you guys being on tonight, and I will talk to you guys really, really soon. Talk to you later. Bye.